Welcome to the Deep Dive, your express ticket to getting smart, fast. We dig into the research so you don't have to, pulling out the crucial insights.
Yeah, the things you really need to know.
Exactly. And today we're tackling a relationship that's, well, it's famously complex, more like a diplomatic roller coaster, really, than a smooth ride. We're talking about the U.S. and Pakistan.
And our main guide for this journey is Shuja Nawaz's book, The Battle for Pakistan. It's incredibly thorough.
It really is.
Yeah, he synthesizes analysis, scholarly work, tons of interviews, notes from the time, basically 2008 to 2019. It's just invaluable for understanding Pakistan itself and, of course, that critical U.S. relationship.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to help you quickly get a handle on how these, fundamentally different interests sometimes led to cooperation. But it was often uneasy cooperation, right?
Right, and why it consistently failed to build something really stable, something long-lasting.
Yeah. Understanding this history is just essential, we think, for making sense of the region today and where it might be headed. You'll definitely walk away with some surprising facts, maybe a clearer view of the forces at play behind the scenes. Okay, let's jump right in. Nawaz's core argument really sets the stage. He basically says the U.S.-Pakistan relationship, even when they were cooperating significantly, was mostly about convenience.
Transitional and mercenary, I think is the phrase he uses.
Yeah, transitional and mercenary. Not really strategic or built to last. It's a pretty strong claim, isn't it?
It is, and it's backed up by others. Peter Lavoie, who knows the region inside out, told Nawaz, the problem in Pakistan is that expediency often trumps the more considerate long-term benefits.
Right. Short-term thinking wins out.
Exactly. But what's interesting is Nawaz points out, hey, this could apply to the U.S. too. Both sides were maybe prioritizing immediate gains over, building something deeper.
Okay, so if expediency is a problem on both sides, how do Pakistan's own internal power dynamics make this even worse? What's the deal with the military's influence?
Well, Nawaz is very clear on this. Pakistan's military isn't just, an army. It's consistently been the strongest political force, the source of continuity, of security.
He has that analogy, right?
Yeah, the huge tree that does not allow other plants to grow under its shade. It's a powerful image.
It really is.
And the point is, this massive influence makes it incredibly difficult for other institutions, civilian governments, for instance, to really take root or wield genuine authority.
So that dominance, as Nawaz argues, basically sets up civilian governments to fail, almost. They're left with, what was it, empty rhetoric and unfilled promises.
Pretty much. They struggle to assert control, especially over the security agencies like the ISI.
The intelligence service, yeah.
Right. And sometimes civilian leaders adopt autocratic habits themselves, kind of mirroring the military. Plus, you've got these deep societal divisions already: language, province, caste, class. So even the powerful military finds it hard to actually change society fundamentally from within. These internal fractures are always there under the surface.
Okay, so we have this foundation. Mistrust, expediency, tricky internal power dynamics. Now let's look at the key events, the flashpoints that really strained things, starting around, 2007 with Musharraf.
Yeah, 2007 was when things really started to unravel for Musharraf. He declared a state of emergency, kicked out the chief justice, arrested lawyers, shut down private TV. A real clampdown.
Trying to hang on to power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this chaos created an opening for other politicians, many of whom were in exile, like Nawaz Sharif and Benazir Bhutto.
Right, I remember the pilgrimages. They were flying to D.C., London, Saudi Arabia.
Trying to position themselves. This led to the Charter of Democracy, which was supposed to prevent another military dictatorship and let Sharif and Bhutto come back.
And the U.S. and U.K. were involved in pushing for that.
Yeah, they were pushing for some semblance of representative democracy. Shows how outside powers often get involved, trying to shape things, but, the results can be mixed.
Which leads us straight into Benazir Bhutto's return to Karachi in October 2007, a really tragic event.
It was terribly organized. Security was just not there, and her convoy was hit by a massive bomb attack. Over 100 people died.
Horrific.
And the political fallout was instant. Her husband, Zardari, pointed fingers at the government. Nawaz also mentions claims that Musharraf had made some veiled threats against her earlier. It just shows the intense rivalries.
So while all this political drama is unfolding inside Pakistan, the external pressure is ramping up too. 2008 sees more U.S. drone strikes, right?
Yes, a big increase. And while the Pakistani government might have quietly okayed some of them, publicly, they generated huge anger. Massive anti-American sentiment.
Right, and then, boom, the Mumbai attacks in November 2008.
Another massive shock to the system. India immediately blamed militants based in Pakistan. Condoleezza Rice, U.S. Secretary of State then, confirmed they operated from Pakistani soil.
And the role of the ISI, Pakistan's intelligence agency, was murky, to say the least.
Very murky. The ISI chief, General Pasha, apparently told the Pakistani ambassador to the U.S., Hussein Haqqani, something like, Log Hamarete, Operation Hamara Nainta, our people, but not our operation, regarding Lashkar-e Taiba.
Wow. That ambiguity, that denial, it just fuels mistrust, doesn't it, both with the U.S. and regionally?
Absolutely. And that ambiguity got exposed again when the National Security Advisor, General Durrani, was fired.
Why was that?
He publicly confirmed that one of the Mumbai attackers, Ajmal Kasab, was Pakistani. Apparently, he didn't get clearance from the civilian leadership. It just starkly showed the civilian government's lack of control or even communication with the security side.
So the civilians tried to assert control sometimes. I remember reading about an attempt to put the ISI under the Interior Ministry in July 2008.
They did try. But the military's pushback, as Nawaz calls it, was instant, reversed within hours.
Oh, another example of...
Yeah, Nawaz says it showed the civilian government's lack of understanding of the nature and role of security organizations. It just reinforced who really called the shots on security.
But civil society did have a moment, didn't it? The Long March in 2009.
That's right, March 2009. Nawaz Sharif led this big movement to reinstate the Chief Justice, Iftikhar Chaudhry, whom Musharraf had sacked.
And the army got involved behind the scenes?
Seems so. General Kayani, the army chief, made a call. And then Prime Minister Gilani went on TV and conceded it was seen as a big win for civil society broadcast live.
Okay, fast forward to 2010. The floods. Just
Yeah.
devastating.
Unbelievable scale. An area like the entire U.S. eastern seaboard underwater. Damage estimated nearly 6% of GDP. A true catastrophe.
And politically revealing, too, right?
Very. The civilian government under Zardari then was seen as totally missing in action.
Creating a vacuum.
Exactly. And the military stepped in big time. So did Islamic charities, like the Ummah Welfare Trust. Nawaz even mentions these fake Potemkin village camps set up just for celebrity photo ops. It looked really bad for the Zardari government.
And the U.S. response, they sent aid, helicopters, the Angels of Mercy, like after the 2005 earthquake.
They did, yeah. Rapid relief efforts.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. Pakistan apparently wanted the Americans out pretty quickly afterwards.
Really?
Yeah. And despite all that aid, U.S. approval ratings in Pakistan actually dropped. They went from maybe 27% in 2006 down to just 15% after the flood relief.
Wow. So humanitarian aid didn't even shift the needle on anti-Americanism.
Didn't seem to.
Yeah.
Shows how deep that sentiment runs.
Okay, so if things were bad before, 2011 sounds like the year the floor just dropped out. A free-falling relationship, as Nawaz calls it. It starts almost immediately, January, with Raymond Davis.
Ah, yes. The Raymond Davis affair. A U.S. official or contractor shoots and kills 2 Pakistanis in Lahore. Massive incident.
And the diplomatic row was about his status, right? Was he a diplomat with immunity?
Exactly. The U.S. insisted he was. But Davis himself, in his own book later, wrote something like, "Was I a diplomat? Of course not."
Oh.
Nawaz points that out. That contradiction just poured fuel on the fire in Pakistan. The whole thing exposed, again, this fractured political power structure. The civilian government, the military, the ISI Chief General Pasha, they all seem to have different ideas on how to handle the U.S. pressure.
And the solution was complex, involving Sharia law, blood money.
Yeah, Dayat, paid to the victims' families. Then Davis was released. Really highlights that unique mix of legal systems, politics, culture.
Then, May 2011, the bombshell, the Osama bin Laden raid.
The big one. U.S. Navy SEALs unilateral operation deep inside Pakistan, Abbottabad, right near the military academy.
Killed bin Laden. Geronimo Akia, the famous code.
For Pakistan, especially its military, this was just a profound humiliation. How did they not know? How did this happen under their noses?
Total shock. What was the official reaction?
Nawaz quotes General Kayani, the army chief, being very direct. Did we know? Of course we did not know. But also regretful. Kayani apparently said, "If you had shared with us, we would have done it. You should have trusted me."
He felt betrayed.
It seems so. Kayani believed that raid ruined the U.S.-Pakistan relationship. And crucially, it sparked real fear in Pakistan. Fear that this set a precedent.
A precedent for what? Like going after their nuclear weapons? Or India doing something similar?
Both. Those were the big fears circulating. That unilateral action opened a Pandora's box.
And the bin Laden raid had immediate knock-on effects, didn't it? Like the attack on the naval base.
Yeah, later that same month, May 2011, the PNS Miran naval base in Karachi was attacked. Militants got inside. This seemed to be revenge for bin Laden. They destroyed U.S. supplied aircraft, too.
And that led to more controversy. A journalist was killed.
Right. Syed Salim Shahzad. He'd written an article suggesting al-Qaeda links, maybe even penetration within the military related to the attack, shortly after he was abducted and murdered.
Was the ISI blamed?
Commissions were formed, but ultimately couldn't implicate the ISI. But it left this dark cloud of suspicion. A really dangerous time for journalists.
This year just keeps getting worse. Then there was Memogate. What on earth was that?
Another bizarre episode. It involved a secret memo, supposedly sent from someone high up in the Pakistani government to the U.S. leadership, via intermediaries like Mansur Ijaz and General Jim Jones.
Asking for U.S. help.
Yeah, asking for help to basically prevent a potential military coup in Pakistan after the bin Laden raid.
Wow. That must have gone down terribly with the military.
Oh, absolutely. It confirmed their worst fears about the civilian government dealing secretly with the Americans against them. It blew up into a huge civil-military crisis, and Ambassador Hussein Haqqani got caught in the middle, eventually having to resign.
Just constant suspicion and fighting.
Exactly. And then to cap off this disastrous year, November 2011, the Salalah incident.
What happened there?
A NATO helicopter attack, apparently unprovoked, killed 24 Pakistani soldiers at border posts near Afghanistan.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Huge anger in Pakistan. They immediately shut down the GLOCs, the ground lines of communication.
Those vital supply routes for NATO forces in Afghanistan.
The mainland routes, yeah. Cut them off completely. It was a massive disruption for NATO.
Did Pakistan get anything out of that? Leverage.
Well, the U.S. under Hillary Clinton eventually apologized in July 2012. And Pakistan reopened the GLOCs. But Nawaz calls it an inexplicable failure by Pakistan. They were in a strong position. The U.S. needed those routes, but Pakistan didn't really seem to gain much, didn't renegotiate the terms significantly. A missed opportunity, perhaps.
So, given all this chaos and mistrust, what about U.S. aid? Was it ever effective? People in Washington must have been asking, what can we actually do?
They were. Nawaz mentions officials asking him, what single thing could we do to transform the relationship? And his answer was pretty blunt.
What did he say?
He quotes the Beatles, money can't buy you love. Or maybe Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it?
Basically saying aid wasn't the answer.
Pretty much. Because there were huge concerns about where the money was going. Take the coalition support funds, the CSF payment.
Reimbursements for counterterrorism efforts, right?
Yeah. But Nawaz cites estimates that maybe as much as 70% was misspent, and maybe 40–50% diverted to other government stuff entirely, just riddled with waste.
And regular development aid, U.S. aid.
Similar problems. Apparently, U.S. aid staff felt pressured to spend money fast for political impact, not necessarily effective development. They were trying to, quote, jam $1.2 billion into a machine that really managed $100 million.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster, or at least inefficiency.
Right. And it created this gap. Pakistan expected big money from things like the Kerry Lugar-Berman bill, like $1.5 billion a year, but the actual money appropriated kept going down.
Leading to disappointment and more mistrust.
Exactly. Rising expectations met with shrinking reality. The key takeaway seems to be aid without real transparency, without aligned goals, just adds friction. It doesn't buy goodwill, not really.
Okay. Now, while all this is going on with the U.S., Pakistan's military is also changing internally, isn't it? They were traditionally focused on India.
Absolutely. But now they had to learn, as Nawaz puts it, new warfare, fighting internal militants, fighting, quote, their own people against fellow Muslims. A totally different challenge.
How did that change things on the ground, training?
Big changes in the military academies. PAM, the school in Quetta, much more focus on irregular warfare, counter-IED tactics, preparing cadets for fighting in places like Fada, the tribal areas.
And it was costly for them.
Very. Nawaz notes a high officer-to-soldier casualty ratio, about 1:10, which suggests officers were truly leading from the front, a real personal cost in this new kind of fight.
But there were other internal challenges for the military, too. Something about conservative thinking.
Yeah, the book mentions the challenge of deeply conservative Islamic thinking and these informal networks called peer-by networks, sort of spiritual brotherhoods within the ranks, potentially undermining traditional discipline.
Interesting. And they launched big operations against militants.
Yes, operations like Zarbiaz and Rad al-Fasad, major efforts. But Nawaz argues some fundamental issues remained.
What?
Still a very centralized command structure. Not enough coordination between different services like Army, Navy, Air Force. And the intelligence agencies, ISI and military intelligence, often stepping outside their proper roles.
Into domestic spying, arrests.
Exactly. And often getting political cover from laws like the Protection of Pakistan Ordinance. So those lines between military security and civilian policing remain blurred.
Okay, so after tracing this really turbulent history, where does Nawaz leave us? What's his picture of Pakistan today, or at least when the book wraps up around 2019?
He describes it as still a fragile and dysfunctional polity, still feeling the effects of long periods of military rule.
And the economy.
He calls it dire. Shrinking foreign reserves, worries about hitting a fiscal cliff. Plus, that persistent feeling that the military still works with the judiciary to kind of manage politics. The rise of Imran Khan's government in 2018 is mentioned in that context.
What it's not presented as a completely hopeless situation, is it? What about strategic choices like navigating between the U.S. and China?
Right. Nawaz argues Pakistan doesn't necessarily have to choose. The U.S., he says, has dehyphenated India and Pakistan. It deals with them separately now. But the U.S. still needs Pakistan for Afghanistan stability.
And China, CPEC.
The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, is definitely presented as a potential game changer. Big infrastructure energy projects. But, and this is crucial, Nawaz stresses the need for transparency, careful management, so Pakistan doesn't end up buried in Chinese debt.
So manage partnerships carefully.
Exactly. Multiple partners might be fine, but the terms are critical.
And the book does emphasize Pakistan's underlying strengths.
Oh, absolutely. Huge potential. A population that's politically aware, a large middle-class 50 million people, strong businesses, and a very young population. Over 60% youth.
That's incredible demographic potential.
It really is. And regionally, South Asia could be a major global player. India leading, maybe, but Pakistan could be a major supporting role, or conversely, a critical spoiler. Afghanistan could even become a trade hub again. There's this idea of a potential peace dividend.
But realizing that potential depends on internal choices.
Entirely.
And there are external threats, too, right? Climate change.
Yes. Nawaz highlights that. Climate change, changing monsoons, those 100-year floods becoming more frequent. These could multiply the dangers the country already faces, a huge exogenous factor.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the message seems to be for Pakistan to really achieve that potential, that peace dividend, become stronger, more vibrant.
It has to get its own house in order.
That's the phrase, internal reforms, better policies, stronger local government, more transparency. And yes, an effective military, but one that's also subject to public scrutiny. Without that internal fix, external help will just be
transitional and mercenary. Back where we started.
pretty much. Hashtag tag tag outro.
Wow. Quite a deep dive into a relationship that's been, well, consistently challenging. We've seen this nation, Pakistan, with just enormous potential.
Yeah, huge potential.
But held back again and again by its own internal power struggles, by these transactional dealings with partners like the U.S., and by these lingering regional conflicts.
It's a complex picture. And it really leaves you thinking, doesn't it? It leaves us with maybe a final provocative question for you to consider.
Okay.
Given this long history we've discussed, where expediency often trumps long-term benefits, both inside Pakistan and in its foreign policy, what would it genuinely take? What would it really take for Pakistan to finally break that cycle?
To consistently choose to prioritize its incredible human potential, its geography, over those tempting short-term political or military gains.
Yeah. And what role could, or maybe should, outside actors like the U.S. play, especially given, the failures of the past? How can they help foster real sustainable change that actually connects with what the Pakistani people themselves want?
Because the challenge isn't just figuring out what needs to be done, is it?
No, it's about consistently choosing to do it. Even when that fork in the road seems to offer an easier path, but one that ultimately leads nowhere better.
Plenty to think about there. That's all for this deep dive. We hope you feel a bit more informed, maybe have some new questions brewing. Join us next time as we explore another story shaping our world.